Our movie today begins with a group of robots invading Earth. At the same time, a family appears fighting these robots while driving in their car. Then we flash back to 4 days before the robot attack, where a girl named Katie begins talking about herself and her family, the Mitchells. Katie says she always felt special and different, but her classmates never accepted that difference. They used to mock her, and she couldn't fit in with anyone, not even her own family. It took them a long time to understand her personality. She adds that the only person who truly understood her was her little brother, Aaron, although he had some unusual interests, like his love for dinosaurs. As for her father, Rick, he never shared her interests and was always too busy to spend time with her. Katie continues, explaining that she worked hard to get into an art academy in Los Angeles. As her travel day approached, her family decided to celebrate and say goodbye. At that moment, Aaron appeared very upset that his sister would leave him. But Katie reassured him that he'd be able to make new friends, and maybe even find someone who's obsessed with dinosaurs like him. Later, Rick comes home from work and finds everyone glued to their phones, so he decides to spend Katie's last night with her before she travels. He also tells her to start thinking of a backup plan in case she fails at the academy. This upsets Katie, who feels like her father always expects her to fail. Katie's laptop falls and breaks, which makes her even more upset. She runs to her room, and her mother, Linda, tells Rick that he's wrong for constantly ignoring Katie's feelings. A little later, Rick watches old videos he recorded of himself and young Katie, playing together and laughing, and he becomes emotional. The next day, Katie finds out her flight ticket has been canceled, and the family decides to drive her to the academy instead. Along the way, her mother looks at photos of their neighbors and calls them the perfect happy family, saying she wishes they could be like them. Katie spends the trip filming everything while Rick tries to impress her but fails. She then sees an ad for a company called PAL, whose app she uses for almost everything in her life. Meanwhile, we see the company's founder, Mark, introducing a new assistant called Pal Max, which replaces the old one. It's a humanoid robot designed to obey any command. Mark assures the audience that these new robots will never turn evil. Suddenly, Mark loses control of the robots. One of them tells him they're now taking orders from someone new. The robots then capture Mark and begin taking over the planet. Back to Katie and her family, they enter a dinosaur-themed exhibit where they run into their neighbors. Linda is clearly frustrated, especially when she sees how happy the neighbors always seem in their travel photos. Suddenly, the robots attack the area, the neighbors escape quickly, and the Mitchells try to do the same but fail. One of the robots captures Rick and flies off with him. Katie insists on rescuing him and tells her family to hide quickly. Meanwhile, the robots launch a global attack, and PAL headquarters becomes their base. Mark then discovers that the cause of everything was his former assistant, a virtual app. After a while, the robots manage to capture almost every human on Earth, except for the Mitchell family. Rick tells his family that he has a plan, but in order to pull it off, they have to get rid of their phones so the robots can't track them. Katie overhears two robots talking about a kill code that could destroy them. Suddenly, Katie and Aaron fall from a ledge but manage to hide just in time. Katie discovers that these two robots have a glitch. She manages to reprogram them and give them orders. From them, Katie learns that there's a specific code that can destroy the leader robot's brain, and it can be uploaded from a nearby shopping mall. Katie decides to save humanity, and her whole family agrees to go with her to help. Unfortunately, the robots spot them on the road and begin chasing them. After many attempts, the Mitchells finally manage to escape and hide. Meanwhile, the robots begin placing humans in capsules inside rockets, planning to launch them into space and create a world without humans. We see Mark devastated, realizing everything that happened was his fault. At the same time, a robot informs their leader that one family is still free. He shows her a photo of Katie and her family, pinpoints their location, and reveals they're headed to a mall. Katie and her family arrive at the mall, amazed that they seem to be the only people left in the place. When the family enters the mall, Katie orders the robots to update PAL's software and activate the code that could stop the uprising, allowing them to gain control over the leader. But the Mitchells are surprised to find that all the household appliances in the mall begin moving toward them. The leader demands that Katie hand over her laptop, and it becomes clear that the logo is actually a controlling chip. The appliances then attack Katie and her family in an attempt to seize the device. The family escapes into the arcade area, only to find that the games there have also turned into hostile robots. A giant toy appears and begins attacking them, so the Mitchells run for their lives. One of the friendly robots with Katie falls, and Linda manages to save it just before it's destroyed. At that moment, Rick decides to create a trap for the giant toy using an electric cable, just like the old days when they used to trap wild animals. The plan works. Linda thanks the robots, as their help made the plan a success. Suddenly, the internet disconnects, and the upload stops at 88%. Katie becomes frustrated, feeling like she failed her mission. Rick then decides to take the family to PAL's headquarters, where the leader resides, to activate the code manually. He comforts Katie by telling her she didn't fail. She brought them this far. He expresses his trust in each family member's abilities and is confident they'll succeed. Meanwhile, the robot Eric asks Linda why she saved him. She replies that he's part of the family now. Touched by her words, the robots join the family as they head toward PAL's HQ. At the same time, the leader becomes increasingly frustrated with the Mitchells and decides to unleash the war robots she had specially built to eliminate them. While the family drives, they spot rockets being prepared to launch humans into space. Katie documents the scene with her camera. The family then comes up with a plan to reach the leader and stop the apocalypse. They decide to capture a few robots, steal their uniforms, and disguise themselves to sneak in unnoticed. The plan works, and they manage to enter the company building. However, they overhear the leader instructing her forces to search for any robot behaving suspiciously, surely one of the Mitchells in disguise. They witness a robot being destroyed after the guards suspect it. The leader then locates Katie's group and reprograms the two friendly robots, who end up destroying the USB containing the code. Katie and her brother Aaron try to escape, but Aaron breaks down in fear and begins to cry. Katie calms him and gives him her camera to hold on to. When Aaron opens the camera, they both watch an old video of Rick sadly saying goodbye to their home in the woods, a home that was his dream. But he gave it up for Katie's future. They see footage of Rick playing with a young Katie, and she is deeply moved. Determined, she vows to fix everything. Meanwhile, the leader has locked Rick in a capsule with Mark, who is watching Katie's YouTube videos and expresses admiration for her work. Rick tells him that Katie is his daughter. They watch a video where she drew cartoon characters representing their family's daily life. Katie, now driving their car, catches the leader's attention. She orders her robot army to stop Katie. In a clever move, Katie ties their dog to the front of the car to confuse the robots, whose systems crash while trying to determine what kind of creature the dog is. Rick, witnessing this, decides to help his daughter. He sees that too many robots are going after her, so he asks Mark for help. Rick escapes his capsule and heads to free Linda so she can assist him in accessing YouTube. But he falls into a room with a giant screen. Meanwhile, Linda is captured by robots. Rick searches desperately for Katie's video featuring the dog. At the same time, Katie attempts to reach the top of the rocket tower to confront the leader. When Linda sees her son Aaron trapped in a capsule, she becomes enraged and breaks free, attacking the robots with fury. Back in the control room, robots enter to capture Rick before he can play the video. Meanwhile, the leader captures Katie and demands a single good reason why humanity should be saved. She claims human relationships are too complicated and painful. Katie responds that real friendships are worth the effort, even the painful parts, because they help us stay connected to those who love us. Suddenly, Katie's video begins playing on all the screens. Rick appears and rescues Katie, but unfortunately, the new generation of robots is unaffected by the video. Katie and Rick decide to fight back. Linda and Aaron soon join the battle. Katie finally reaches the leader and throws her off the building into a pool, destroying her once and for all. The Mitchell family successfully saves humanity. Their neighbors emerge from their capsules and thank them for saving the world. Aaron approaches,